All right, here at CrossFit Lincoln again, Lincoln, Nebraska, Dr. Scott Keller coming at you. We've been focusing obviously this month on the hip, all right? So we've got hip flexor, quad, and the cow stretch. We have the adductors or the groin muscles, and now last week we did the posterior hip and the pigeon stretch. This week we're going to do kind of the same principle, posterior hip, in a little bit of a different stretch. A lot of people know it as the runner stretch. But again, I want to explain the importance of the mechanics here, all right? So in our squat, as Mr. Major Ted Hanger gives me a little booty shake down on the side here. So, sorry if I'm laughing, but you guys know Ted. All right. So in a squat, all right, in the bottom of a squat, I see this all the time, is as people go down, they keep a pretty good neutral lumbar spine. And as they get lower and lower, usually reaching around 90 degrees here and then below, they lose that lumbar curve into flexion. So their pelvis rolls under them and they flex like this. Second most common mistake, as I said last week, is as they go down, they don't have the flexibility here in the posterior hip, so they flatten their spine angle. So you'll see somebody back squatting, like this, or front squatting, and they lose it forward a lot. So posterior hip mobility is very important. Now, with this stretch in particular, the runner stretch, we've got to make sure we loosen up our hip flexors first, okay? Because if you're tight through the hip flexor, and we get into this position, you're not going to be able to get into this posterior hip here. So again, I have Zane to help me out. He's going to demo this while I explain. And fix the camera on this one. So just get in a deep lunge, okay? We're working on the front leg, okay? So this right glute in his case. He's going to put his right hand on his ankle or top of his foot to kind of block that motion. Make sure your heel and none of your foot comes off the floor. His elbow is going to be resting on the inside of his right knee there. So like I said, if you're tight in your left hip flexor on this one, it's going to be really hard to overcome that and get into the right posterior hip. So he's flexible, he's good, he's going to sink down into that and sit to really open up the back side of that right hip. Okay, he's going to do two different things from this angle now. He's going to push on his knee outward with his elbow. So go ahead and push out a little bit there. Keep your foot flat on the floor though. So we don't want to roll our foot up, okay? Keep the foot flat and just push the knee out like this as he sits back into that stretch, okay? You should feel that deep in that glute. Again, repetition would be always dynamic stretch. So sink into it, hold for 2 or 3 seconds, come back out, let it relax a little bit, and repeat that about 10 times, all right? The second thing he's going to do to change it up a little bit is kind of the same push out with his knee there, but he's going to lean and rotate a little bit to the opposite side, in this case to his left, all right? So that's going to give him a little elongation in his lumbar spine down through the posterior hip, because obviously all of this is definitely connected by a lot of fascia and other structures. So go ahead and give us a couple of reps today, show us what we're talking about. That's pretty good. He has pretty good flexibility in the backside of his hip on this one, so go ahead and do the first one where you're just kind of straight back, push out with that. All right, perfect. All right, guys, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout out. See me in the gym or email me at scott@synergylincoln.com. It's SCOTT@SYNERGY Lincoln.com.